If you're on at 7 and that callback time isn't till 7 p.m., grab it.
Absolutely. It'll be gone before you know it.
Hey there, this is LJ, owner and founder of Smart Moms Plan Disney and Smart Moms Travel. Welcome to the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. I wish I could be with you for every episode, but don't worry, I have chosen an awesome host who will be with you each and every week. I love her, and I know you will too. Here's Aly.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. I'm your host, Aly, joined today by Becki and again by Karla. How are you guys?
Hi there.
Today, we are tackling something that many Disney lovers find equally confusing and enjoyable and helpful all at once. It's Genie Plus and Lightning Lane Day. Are you guys ready for this?
Summon the genie.
Ready to go.
Genie Plus started just over a year ago, and in its year and a few months that it's been around, it has already evolved maybe 5 times. It just keeps changing every time. And each time it gets a little, I think, stronger, a little easier to use, a little better. And what do you guys think? Do you like Genie Plus?
Before we even delve into this amazing thing that is now offered, can we just have a moment of silence for fast passes? And as amazing as they were, how we miss them. Just a little nod to the fast pass.
It's true. I'm silent on my end.
Silent on my end too. It is a fond memory for sure.
Okay.
I miss FastPass so much. I don't miss the pre-selection, but once you got through those early selections, it was so nice to have them.
Do you remember when fast passes were paper fast passes?
Oh, yeah. I was there. Like originally when they first debuted, I can remember running from the kiosks and grabbing my little paper with my family and submitting them to get on the attraction.
Oh, yeah. I do not miss having to run from one end of the park to the other end of the park without my family. When we moved to technology, that was a blessing.
It's so true. Some people, that may not love Genie Plus might be forgetting that if you wanted a fast pass entry back in the day, you were running from Thunder Mountain and all the way across the park to Space Mountain if you wanted a fast pass to both attractions. So we agree that Genie Plus is clearly a step up in technology, although fast pass worked well with the My Disney experience toward the end. That is a thing of the past. We do no longer have it. So let's talk about what we do have and what's good, what's bad, what's confusing, how it can help really transform your trip.
I personally love the upgrade that we no longer have to stand in line for all of the rides. It kind of frees you up to maybe go and see a parade while you're technically kind of standing in line, right? It's kind of becoming a virtual stand in line option.
That's exactly right. So, we spend so much money on these vacations and we have so much build up to get into these parks and we want to experience as much as we can. And even though it may be extremely expensive for a family of, let's say, 5 like mine, to add this on in the app, your time is money also. And you have to kind of get down to a point where you're deciding, do you value your time or your money more? And I understand that sometimes you don't have that choice, but truly it's the difference of maybe hitting 2 headliner attractions to hitting all of them in a single day.
I totally agree. If you are on top of Genie Plus, it is such a game changer as far as the quality of your day and the quality of the time that you're spending at the parks with your family. It's literally the difference between standing in line and having a grumpy day to standing in line for rides and having rides lined up the rest of your day and basically going from ride to ride. It is such a game changer.
Let's talk a little bit about how it works. So if you are an on-site guest, do you have priority to purchase Genie Plus ahead of an on-site guest?
In a way. So you definitely get the option of choosing your individual lightning lane at 7 a.m. So if you're prioritizing one of those main headliners, then staying on site can definitely be a game changer in that situation. If you're staying off site, your individual lightning lane doesn't become available until park opening.
Let's talk about what those are. So there are actually 3 or 4 parts of this whole new technology, right? There's the Genie service. That's free in the app. That's a personalized itinerary and a tip board. You sort of throw in the things that your family may want to experience while you're there, or something maybe one of your kiddos is really into. You put that in your tip board and it can kind of generate a game plan for you. Now, it does kind of follow the trend of wait times, and that's really great. But it doesn't eliminate the wait times. So the Genie itself is a planning tool while you are on your vacation. Genie Plus is the service that's going to help you skip the line. So you can purchase Genie Plus day by day. You can no longer add it to your package, which was something you could do in its conception. But now it is added to your app starting at midnight each day you wish to use it.
And I would just like to add, you do not have to stay up to midnight to purchase your Genie Plus. You have to have that first selection made at 7 a.m. I personally wake up about 6:30. I go ahead, I order the Genie Plus for all the members in my family or my group. And then I go ahead and confirm my party as well. I think that's super important. But I just want you guys to know that it is not completely necessary to wake up at midnight to secure your Genie Plus for the next day or for that day.
I also wanted to add in this bit about there's been some controversy about whether they should offer it for your extended time. I feel like, as I've been watching it and using it personally, since they removed the option to add it to your entire ticket, the availability of Genie Plus selections has increased because less people are using it day to day.
That's a great point. And I have noticed that also because I've used it in both of its iterations there. And so I think they're constantly working out the kinks and really trying to make it function the best they can so you can get your best use out of it, which I do think is so wonderful about this product. It's not just staying stagnant. So while the changes can be confusing, it's evolving in really awesome, beneficial ways. So you can purchase, and as Karla said, you don't have to purchase it at midnight. However, I don't think there's any verbiage that Disney has guaranteed Genie Plus won't sell out.
It's kind of similar to park hopping, right? They don't guarantee that a park's going to be available to park hop.
It's really similar to that. And it's one of those things where attractions can fill up, and we'll dive into that a little deeper, but the service itself should be able to purchase, as Karla said, and it is important that you do it before your first selection. So Genie Plus, that's going to be our line skipping tool. Is every attraction included in Genie Plus?
It is not. That's where those individual lightning lanes come in.
So we have our Genie Guide free. We have our Genie Plus service. Purchase access to the lightning lane. That's going to be your line skipping terminology. Your lightning lane is the portion of the ride queue that you use to get to the front of the line and skip the wait. Then outside of Genie Plus are those few attractions that are not included under the Genie Plus umbrella. Disney has named those individual lightning lanes. So those are separate from regular lightning lanes, which are covered under Genie Plus. Each park currently has one individual lightning lane, and that is something we have seen change throughout the time that Genie Plus has been a service. So currently, we have Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at Magic Kingdom, Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom, Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studios. And does Epcot still have an individual lightning lane?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Of course. And I was getting confused a bit because of the virtual queue, which we will also dive into. So the individual lightning lane is a separate purchase even from Genie Plus. And you can purchase your individual lightning lane whether or not you purchase Genie Plus for the day.
That's correct. And I think it's important to mention, going back to the staying on site versus staying off site. As an on-site guest, you are actually able to purchase an individual lightning lane at 7 a.m. as opposed to off-site guests that can purchase their individual lightning lanes when the park opens.
So those individual lightning lanes can kind of come with a heavy price tag for some families. I have a family of 5 as well. And so if I'm looking at it, I'm not going to buy every single individual lightning lane. So if you Aly, if you were to choose one of those 4, which would you choose?
Gosh, that's a really hard question. My first instinct is to say Guardians because I think it's the best ride on Disney property right now, save for Tower of Terror. But I think my actual answer would be Rise of the Resistance.
Oh, that's interesting. I would completely, hands down, my very, very favorite ride on all of Disney property is Flight of Passage. And I would buy that every single time.
Gosh, now you have me questioning my answer. Maybe I would buy Flight of Passage. It's too hard for me. I need
It
them all.
really is.
I need them all.
It really is.
Karla, what about you?
I am 100% buying Guardians of the Galaxy. I cannot ride that ride enough. And anytime it's available for purchase, I'm there. I'm buying that.
It is really amazing.
Ally's looking forward to hearing the same song every single time she goes on the ride.
No spoilers, but I will just say there is a musical aspect. And it is true, 99.9% of my rides have had the same musical enhancement as the rest. What do you guys think? Do you think with the opening of Tron at Magic Kingdom in April, do you think that Seven Dwarfs will join Genie Plus?
That's going to be interesting to see how they play that, because with the changes in individual lightning lanes, we started with 2 per park. And so Tron is going to launch with a virtual queue.
And this is all speculation that Seven Dwarfs might become part of Genie Plus, which would be a huge addition if it does. I guess we will see.
And around the time this episode drops, Tron will already be open and available to guests at Magic Kingdom. So we will actually know our answer by the time people are hearing this episode. So always be sure to check your My Disney Experience app for the most up-to-date information for everything as it pertains to virtual queues and individual lightning lanes and Genie Plus selections.
Let's get into the fourth layer of this, which is the virtual queue process. So if you are an on-site guest or an off-site guest, you can purchase Genie Plus starting at midnight and anytime from midnight to 7 a.m. or really throughout the day, but you want to get it done before that first attraction selection. Your first Genie Plus return selection is at 7 a.m. On-site guests can begin purchasing individual lightning lanes at 7 a.m.
You have one Genie Plus selection, and you can purchase both individual lightning lane selections at that time. You do have to have a park hopper ticket if you are going to want to experience more than one individual lightning lane in a day, because there's only one at each park and you cannot re-ride any that you ride in one day.
And then there's also the virtual queue. So the virtual queue currently is only happening at Guardians of the Galaxy and Epcot. And it will be interesting if we will have 2 virtual queues at Disney World with the addition of Tron. We will see if Guardians remains a virtual queue, but that is also something that you do at 7 a.m.
I would definitely be surprised if they run 2 virtual queues at the same time. I don't think we have seen it up to date. And I have a feeling that Guardians is just going to turn over and become that individual lightning lane option, and that Tron's going to take precedence in the virtual queue arena. Regardless, though, I personally love the virtual queue option. Obviously, it's free. It is very apparent that Disney does not want anybody to sleep in. They want everybody up at 6:30. You need to have your coffee. You need to have your fingers prepped and ready. Get your phones out, get that blood flowing so that at 7 a.m. you are prepared and ready to go. I feel like personally have really mastered the virtual queue. I think it's important to know that you need to hop onto your app a couple minutes beforehand. You are going to see that virtual queue option on your home screen of the app. You just have to scroll down a little bit. And I think it's important that you hop on those couple minutes early because you need to confirm your party. I believe that some people wait till that 7 a.m. mark to even open that virtual queue option up and confirm their party then. And then you will be surprised how quickly that virtual queue has passed and gone away. I mean, within seconds, I've seen it.
I was about to say, you didn't mean 7 a.m. and 1 second is what time you tried.
No, I mean at 6, I'm talking at 6:59 and 37 seconds, you're already hitting the refresh on the bottom of the screen. So again, once you confirm your party, at the bottom of the screen, it's going to say refresh. And essentially at like 15 seconds till 7, if not earlier, you're just clicking that button.
My family always opens a second phone with a world like atomic clock that is showing us the countdowns of the seconds. And I tell you, my husband is a gamer, and never have I been more proud of his gaming skills than getting a virtual queue.
You're right with that clock. We always have two phones going. We've tested the Wi-Fi in various parts of the room. We've tested Wi-Fi versus non-Wi-Fi. We have all sorts of steps in place so that right when that queue opens, we are doing it. And we're making it sound stressful, but in all honesty, it kind of is stressful. You want it, and it does disappear so quickly. Have you all ever missed getting the virtual queue?
I have, yes.
I haven't for Guardians. I have for Rise of the Resistance a couple times, actually. I also think it's important to note that you do not have to be on site. You don't even have to be in Orlando or at Disney World to get that virtual queue option. If you're hopping on a plane and it's 6:58, I would get on it. I personally live in Tampa. I am always doing it from my house before I head to the parks that day. More than likely, you're not going to get that virtual queue until probably like after 10 or 11 o'clock. And I just think it's important to know that you have that option and that you do not have to be on property in order to get it.
That's so good. And while you don't have to be on property, just as you said, which is something I think not enough people know, you do have to have a valid park pass reservation. So don't be sitting on the airplane in your hometown trying to fly to Disney World and make a Lightning Lane selection for Pirates of the Caribbean if you don't have a Magic Kingdom park pass. So in order to make a selection, no matter where you are going to need a park pass reservation.
Having missed getting mine in the morning, knowing that if you are going to the park and you are in the park, there's usually going to be that afternoon opening for a second chance. And you have a much better chance in that second one because you do have to be in the park for that second opportunity.
So there are two virtual queues that open daily for the virtual queue attraction. Currently, that's Guardians as we record this, 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. How does that work if you're hopping? Do either of you have experience with that?
So I do. I've hopped over to Epcot at 2. So hopping means that I did not have my park reservation, so I wasn't eligible for the 7 a.m. window, but I hopped over at 2, and I guess it was just kind of a slower day in the park. And that 1 p.m. on those slower days can last for a couple of hours, meaning that as opposed to it selling out like it does almost immediately at that 7 a.m. window, that 1 p.m. window can stay open for a lengthy period of time, and you still can have the opportunity to grab your virtual queue in that 1 p.m. if you do hop.
Yeah, that's definitely about the timing of the year, how busy the parks are, and how new the virtual queue or that ride is, right? When I was in Hollywood Studios one time, it was soon after Rise of the Resistance opened. We missed it because we were still learning how to really master this individual the virtual queue. And we were standing in line for Mickey and Minnie's at 1 o'clock. It was coming up on 1 o'clock. And you could see everybody looking around. Everybody had their phones out. And the clock struck 1 o'clock. And then literally the entire crowd was like either, yeah, or, oh.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Okay, so we have our 4 categories here. The Genie Plus, the individual Lightning Lane, and the virtual queue, and all of the ways that you can get each of those things. Now, how do we go about getting attraction? It's 7 a.m. I have my individual Lightning Lane. I have my Genie Plus selection. I'm going to Hollywood Studios. I've got Rise of the Resistance for my individual Lightning Lane. I have Slinky Dog Dash as my Genie Plus selection, and it's 7 a.m. Becki, what happens next? When do I get to add Tower of Terror to my lineup?
Great question. And I think without getting too far into the weeds, because there is a lot of strategy, which our guide that we can offer to our clients is there to help you. But really, what you have to know is it's really based on a 2-hour window or after you have used your previous existing reservation.
So if I have booked Slinky Dog Dash and my return time is 9:30 in the morning, which by the way would be an incredible return time for Slinky Dog Dash. Every time I've ever gotten it, it's like 3 p.m. But let's say I get 9:30 a.m. and the park opens at 9. I scan in for Slinky at 9:30 and I can immediately select my next attraction.
So once you have come in, you've scanned into your Slinky Dog, you can then, even while you're standing in line, once you've tapped in, you can then go on your app and secure your next available reservation time.
Perfect. So 9:30 a.m., if that's your first return time and you scan in, you get your next Genie Plus selection immediately. However, if your first Genie Plus return time that you get at 7 a.m. is not until later in the day, say 3 p.m., then it's going to be 2 hours after the park opens that you get to select your second Genie Plus. So if the park opens at 8 a.m., at 10 a.m., if you have yet to scan in for an attraction, you can then select your second. So you could, in a sense, have 2 Genie Plus return times waiting for you in your app. And from that moment on, from 2 hours after park open, you get to make your next selections either every time you scan in for a return time to the Lightning Lane or every 2 hours from the last time you selected.
And I think it's very important you set an alarm. So set your alarms throughout the day when these Genie windows open. And a new feature in the Genie Plus that was not one of the original features is that it's now actually telling you when your next window opens. So at that point, I would set those alarms and just keep reminded, because you're going to go through your day and in line for Slinky Dog or over by Rise of the Resistance or waiting at Tower of Terror, and you're inevitably going to forget. So having that reminder alarm, and then everybody in your party can then either hop on their phones, or whoever is in charge of the Genie Plus can just be reminded and have that reminder to go ahead and get that next Genie Plus option.
That's a great point. And also to the point that you just made, it's very important that inside your My Disney Experience app, if you're going with a large party or just your family and you want someone to manage the Genie Plus selections for you, you have to make sure everyone's accounts are linked as friends and family. That's a big, big thing to keep in mind.
And that is only for a party of up to 12 people that you can coordinate in one group. You can only manage 12 people in one Genie Plus group. So for most families, that's going to be a fine number. There's not a whole lot of people traveling with more than 12. However, if you are traveling with more than 12 and you're going to want to be riding all of the same Genie Plus selections, you're going to want to designate 2 people to manage all of the Genie Plus reservations, because only 12 people can be managed under one account at a time. So if you're going to have more than 12, have 2 Genie Plus selection heads and allow them both to be grabbing the same lightning lanes at the same time.
As Becki mentioned before, we have an awesome Genie Plus guide within our travel agency that we offer to our clients that even breaks this down further. And if you visit our social media pages after this episode, you can get some insider tips from all of us on Team Happily Ever After for what our favorite early Genie Plus selections are and some of our go-tos when we are thinking about lightning lanes. We are going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll dive into the categories.
Okay, everyone, listeners of the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast, subscribers, participants, we are so excited. We have something big. Like, I cannot even believe how big this is. Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast is partnering with Smart Moms Plan Disney to give away a deluxe Disney family vacation. We are giving it away to one family. A deluxe vacation, families of up to 4 will be able to stay at a Disney deluxe property for 3 nights with 4 days of tickets. Have more than 4 in your family? That's no problem. Families of up to 6 can stay in a family suite at Art of Animation and still get the 4 days of tickets. This would cost almost $7,500 to go book this trip on your own, and we're going to give it away to one family for free. Also, we're moms here, so we've made it easy to enter. We know that you don't have a lot of time to waste taking forever to enter a contest, so follow the link in our show notes and on all of our social media bios, and entering will be a breeze. There are several ways to enter, and the more you do, the better chances you have of going to visit the mouse on our dime.
Welcome back, everyone. We are going to jump right now into our favorite segment, The 7. I think because of how complicated Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, individual Lightning Lane, virtual queues truly are, hopefully you have a more clear understanding. But let's jump right in. Y'all, what makes you grumpy about this whole procedure?
I think for me, it's accepting the fact that I'm going to be on my cell phone all day. And I think it's when you're with your family and you're at the parks, you really want to be immersed in the magic and that time with your family. So I do get a little grumpy having to depend on my phone so much.
And I love that you said accepting, right? Because these are things that make me grumpy, but that I am accepting. So for me, it also is the fact that, it's a reality that it costs money. We've talked about Genie Plus costs money, the service itself, and individual lightning lanes cost money, which are the individual attraction selections in each park. And the hard part now is that it's not a set price. So ahead of my trip, I can't even really budget what I'm going to be spending on Genie Plus and lightning lanes for my family of 5 because it fluctuates just like ticket prices do. So one day it may be $15 per person and the next day it may be $22 per person. And that is truly something that's hard to navigate and it's hard to plan for. And it is one of those things that I'm grumpy about, but I do have to accept because I believe in using the service personally.
What makes me a little bit grumpy about it is just how varying the return times can be. Obviously, the higher demand a ride is, the farther out in the day people are going to have already reserved it. And so trying to really think through being in a section of the park and not having the ride that I want to reserve available can sometimes be an issue. But if you have the right amount of prep going in, knowing what you're expecting, I think you can easily navigate it.
That's true. And that's another one of my things is I sometimes feel like I have to pick and choose with my favorite attractions. So at Magic Kingdom, I've had great success. I really feel like there are so many attractions covered in the Genie Plus umbrella that I've never really missed a lightning lane that I wanted. But in a park like Hollywood Studios, where everything feels high demand, I have sometimes had to feel like I have to pick between, the Tower of Terror lightning lane or the Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway lightning lane because I'm going with Slinky Dog Dash first. And then by the time I make my second and then my third, a lot of times they're gone. They're sold for the day.
Absolutely. Another thing about the grumpy that kind of frustrates me is I had Disneyland as my home park for most of my life. It's only been the last couple of years that I've been a home park to Disney World. And so I have had Fast Pass and what was called Max Pass at Disneyland, which is kind of what I feel like Genie Plus has been based on. And I had Max Pass where pictures were included in that cost. And so I always felt like there was extra bonus added that I wasn't just paying for Fast Passes that used to be free. I could get pictures included when I was in Disneyland. However, that kind of segues us into Happy with our 7s. That's coming to Disney World.
It is coming to Disney World, and that does make me happy. That's a perfect way to put it. And we should say that Disneyland also has a Genie Plus service, but we are focusing only on Disney World today. Disneyland has always had the photos included, but now Disney World is going to be bringing on those ride photos. When you purchase Genie Plus, you're going to get attraction photos as part of the purchase. And I think it really, really ups the value.
You guys, who doesn't love these ride photos? I mean, when I finish a day at Disney and I look back on my app at some of the photos from the rides, talk about like Tower of Terror, Guardians of the Galaxy with the hair all over your face. Like there is nothing better than ride photos, in my opinion.
I have the greatest ride photo from Tower of Terror where a very dear friend of mine who is well into adulthood had never ridden, and my 4-year-old twins had never ridden, and we were all on, and my friend is buried in the sleeve of another, completely terrified, and my 4-year-old daughter has her hands in the air laughing.
Oh, I
feel like we should maybe start uploading some of our ride photos to our socials and everybody can share and we can all enjoy and laugh at some of the experiences we've had.
I'll have a great trend of Guardians of the Galaxy photos. It'll be like my face is a secret, hidden behind all of my hair. Nobody will know what I actually look like.
Me too.
Case of hidden faces instead of hidden Mickeys.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Upload your Guardians photos to be part of the case of the hidden faces.
Okay, so tell me, guys, let's talk about Dopey and let's talk about some of the silly mistakes that we've made when it comes to Genie.
So, not linking with your friends and family in the My Disney Experience app ahead of time is a huge mistake you can make, because you're going to go and you're going to try to select Pirates of the Caribbean for you and your friend's family, and you're only going to see your family, and then your friend could miss out, or you're going to get separate ride times. And that can really, really throw a wrench in your plans. So if you want to ride together and you want the same window and you want to book it for everyone, you have to be linked.
That would be such a bummer to have your day start that way. And speaking of starting your day, selecting the wrong first choice. If you make your first selection as the teacups, you're doing it wrong.
It's true. There are some lightning lanes that are going to be available all day long, and it can be really frustrating because you may not know what those are. But at Magic Kingdom, you've got to go with something like Peter Pan's Flight, which always has an inexcusably long line.
Mm-hmm.
You must pick that because that will disappear as the day wears on, and Teacups is always going to be there.
Again, Slinky Dog at Hollywood Studios. If you're on at 7 and that callback time isn't till 7 p.m., grab it.
Absolutely. It'll be gone before you know it. Slinky Dog is almost, in my experience, as high demand as a virtual queue. It's gone in seconds.
And I think that our Genie guide that we offer as the agency, I think it really helps you to navigate those top tiered rides that you need to grab right at 7 for each of the parks.
I completely agree. It's such a huge perk of booking with one of us as your travel agent for free. So these are silly mistakes that can be avoided if we just weren't scared or embarrassed to ask ahead of time. What are the things about Genie Plus that make you a bit bashful, a little leery, a little bit hesitant?
I would say the biggest thing for me would be just not knowing how the parks are laid out. Having that lack of experience or that lack of knowledge can really set your day back when you're grabbing back-to-back Genies and they're on opposite sides of the park.
That's a good point. You want to really navigate the app ahead of your vacation, get to know the park, take a look at what wait time trends look like around your vacation, and start to decide, where do I want to start and how do I want to achieve hitting my attractions that are important to my family without running from Tomorrowland to Adventureland to Fantasyland back to Tomorrowland.
I think something else people get intimidated by with Genie Plus is feeling like maybe they're not tech savvy enough to use the app for it. But I think knowing that those blue umbrellas with the cast members there to support you if you do get lost in the system is a great reassurance.
I agree. And it's no doubt that this system is complicated and there's so many moving parts to it. But I can assure you that after that first 7 a.m. selection or your next selection, you're going to get the hang of it. And it's going to become like second nature. You're going to have those alarms set. You're going to be able to go in, get your rides, and really have an amazing day.
I agree 100%. I tell so many people, you will feel like a Genie Plus Pro right away. That first day that you use it, you're going to have nerves. Your heart's going to be beating that first 7 a.m., not quite knowing what you're doing. And then it just sort of unfolds for you. And it does make sense. And the more you use, the better you execute it. It truly is something that makes sense when you're in it.
Yeah. And I also had another thought that I get a lot of questions from clients that they don't want to admit it, but Genie Plus is expensive. And so they're like, if I can only afford to buy Genie Plus for one day, which park should I buy it for? What do you guys think?
100% Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, see, that's such a hard one because Magic Kingdom is such a good answer because there are so many attractions covered. You're going to get your money's worth out of it. You're going to ride a lot of attractions with a lightning lane. But there are so many headliners at Hollywood Studios, so many attractions that have long lines all day long. I'm talking Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, Runaway Railway, Millennium Falcon, Slinky Dog. They all have long lines, and it sometimes feels like the only way to get even two of them in a day is to purchase Genie Plus.
And for any smart moms, travel agents listening today, our hidden Mickey is lines. We are talking all about lines and wait times, so the hidden Mickey is lines.
Yeah, I think if you prioritize which kinds of rides are important, like if you have kids who are afraid of those high thrill rides, I think Magic Kingdom is the no-brainer. But if you have thrill junkies, Hollywood Studios might be it.
And you know what? I don't think we've touched on this, but it's such a beneficial feature when you're park hopping. So you actually have the ability to start your day at your reserved park, and then through the app, you can actually change your park. So if you know that you're going to hop over to, let's say, Epcot at 2, at some point in your morning, you can start switching your focus over to Epcot rides and the rest of your afternoon. If after Epcot, you're going to hop over to Hollywood Studios, you can change that park again. It is evolving as your day is going. Even if you're starting your day at Animal Kingdom, and maybe that's not necessary to have Genie Plus, if you're going to then hop over to one of the other parks, I think it becomes almost like you're super setting yourself up for just a really great day.
I completely agree with you. It hops with you and it makes your day easy to navigate when you have different agendas for the morning and the afternoon. You mentioned Animal Kingdom. Can we talk a little bit about Sneezy Dwarf here and the things we avoid with Genie Plus? Because for me, Animal Kingdom is that's sort of my aversion to Genie Plus, because my strategy is always rope drop the safari, buy the individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage, and then either just stand in the queue or ride single rider for Everest. And those are the big attractions that would matter for me when it comes to Genie Plus and lightning lanes.
So things I would avoid: water rides. I cannot stand being wet. It's already humid. But if you are coming to Disney and this is your one and done, you have to go on those rides. They are amazing. But as a local, those are things I skip always.
And then I'm avoiding my Genie Plus selections for those rides that are not going to sell out. The teacups, the Carousel of Progress, the, Philharmonic, whatever it's called. I'm not even sure what it's called. My apologies to you out there that love those rides. Those are the rides I'm avoiding. I'm not doing it.
And of course, Mission Space, because who's riding Mission Space?
Nobody's riding Mission Space.
I'm riding Mission Space.
Yeah.
Oh, not riding Mission Space, not riding Dinosaur.
I'm riding Dinosaur, but not if it's a long wait.
And I'm only riding Dinosaur to get the picture of all of the people's reactions after they get the photo pass picture.
I was the little girl in the 90s that was blood curdle screams on Dinosaur, puncturing my dad's rib cage, digging my head in, thinking that we were under some sort of real dinosaur attack.
Listen, I'm that person at almost 40. I don't even know. My eyes aren't open. I'm just like literally there because my children want to ride it.
I hear that.
I hear it.
So what is your best dock smart tip for using Genie Plus, lightning lanes, individual lightning lanes, virtual queues, any of these categories?
Absolutely set your alarm. Do not miss that 7 a.m.
I think staying on property, setting your alarm, and really taking the time before your travel to make sure you know what your top priority is. Don't stress yourself out that morning trying to figure it out. That will not work well for you.
I totally agree. And just do it. Just like pull the trigger, summon the genie. It's a must. It's going to make your day better. Just do it.
I agree. Our wrapping up here in our 7, Sleepy Dwarf. Does it matter what resort you are staying at when it comes to using this service?
Staying on property is going to give you benefits for using Genie Plus. However, you're going to get extra benefits when you are staying deluxe. That's always going to be a no-brainer.
I agree. I think staying on property is your biggest thing when you're thinking about these services because of the individual lightning lane. If you get a chance at 7 a.m. to buy Rise of the Resistance, there's a very good chance that if you are an off-site guest with an off-site Good Neighbor package or any other form of off-site stay, you are not going to get that 7 a.m. selection for the individual lightning lane. And by the time the park opens, there's a very good chance it won't even be an option anymore. So if you want to use the lightning lane for things like Rise of the Resistance, Guardians of the Galaxy, Flight of Passage, those are probably not going to be available to you as an off-site guest just because of demand and on-site getting that first priority. And to your point, Becki, with Deluxe, there's the deluxe category of resorts on Disney property where if you're at a park or you're planning on using a park for extended evening hours, you're going to get an extra shot at the virtual queue that we've been talking about. So we mentioned there's a 7 a.m. virtual queue, the 1 p.m., and on select extended evening hours, for deluxe guests only, you get a third virtual queue attempt. So you could be riding Guardians of the Galaxy at an empty park at 11 p.m.
I also think if you're starting your day, if you're a rope dropping family and you're there at 7 a.m. and you do want to take advantage of the whole day, staying on property and being able to jump back to your resort to take an hour snoozer or just cool off. Because when you're on property, let's say you're at Magic Kingdom, you can jump over to the Contemporary in 15 minutes and not feel like you're wasting 2 hours of your day.
Totally agree. And something else that I would like to mention, speaking of sleeping, some people actually do like to sleep in when they're at Disney. Maybe they stayed up for those extended evening hours the night before and they want to start their park day later. It is still worth it to buy that Genie Plus and do what I like to call stack your rides. So if I know that I'm not going to be at the park until 1 p.m., then I am stacking rides that whole morning. So I'm still going to wake up. I'm still going to set my alarm at 7. I'm going to grab my first Genie Plus for the day. And then I'm going to keep stacking those so that when I arrive to the park at 1, my afternoon is set. And I'm literally just going from ride to ride.
So you're saying you're booking a 7 a.m. attraction. 2 hours after the park opens, you're getting another. 2 hours after that, and so on until you finally get to the park and you may have 4 attractions already lined up, ready for you to enter a lightning lane.
Absolutely.
What a great strategy.
It is a great strategy. There are so many ways to strategize Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, virtual queues to fit your family's personal needs. And it's truly something to get excited about, not be worried about. It's not something to stress over. The more you use it, the more clear it becomes. And you'll be a Genie Plus pro the second you start using it. We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our categories.
So this is LJ. Still no name for this segment yet, but we're working on it. So don't forget, go to Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast on Instagram and tell us what to name my segment. Maybe something to do with Walt. I love him. Maybe something to do with Snow White. I love her. But let's move on. We're talking about Genie Plus. Super excited to talk to you on this segment because I felt like something that went right along with Genie Plus and Lightning Lane is Disney strategy. The strategy that goes into when you're going to schedule your lightning lanes, when you're going to schedule just all the things. And to be honest, that is one of the things that attracted me to Disney in the first place. Our very first trip, which I have pulled no punches on and told y'all didn't go very well. We did not know anything. We definitely were like, ha ha ha, those people that pre-plan, they are so funny. We'll just show up. You guys, I did not know what a fast pass was. I am a quick learner, so by the second day or the third day, I to figure out that you should really have a strategy. And I remember crystal clear sitting in front of Spaceship Earth with the map before, I think maybe before the park even opened, figure out what we should do. And I remember being like, okay, I got to run over to Soarin'. Do you guys remember running to the places to get fast pass? Being like, I got to run over to Soarin' and get a fast pass real quick. And I got to get Test Track. And then I thought the Viking ride was going to have a fast pass, but it wasn't open until World Showcase. So I ran out here for nothing. But anyway, I did get fast passes, I think Test Track and Soarin'. And I just loved it. I was just bit by the Disney strategy bug. I feel like when a baker is really good at baking a cake and knows all the things, like I do not know, like there's stuff about how you're supposed to put ingredients in order in the pan and mix this and then that. I never know that. All I know is that I appreciate the cakes that they bake. And that's what it happens with a great Disney vacation. Your kids, your husband may not know the ingredients that went into this, but they know that the cake tastes good. I think that you are following the exact right track when you're learning about this Disney strategy and giving this experience to your kids. So this is something that money can't buy. Like you can't just pay a certain amount of money and have an amazing experience. It takes you in learning the things, and they're not going to ever know all the ingredients that went into this cake, maybe until their moms and they grow up and they do it for their kids, you know, and that is going to bring you so much joy.
Welcome back, everyone. We are going to play a quick fun game that I think really help explain why Genie Plus is necessary in a lot of cases. Ladies, are you ready to guess the wait times in the parks right now?
Let's do it.
Do that. Yes.
This is going to put into perspective why saving time by purchasing access to the Lightning Lane can save your vacation. What do you think the wait time for Tower of Terror is right now? It's 10 in the morning on a weekday.
I want to say it's 13 minutes, and we all know that that means there's no wait, but there's no way.
No way.
I would say at 10 a.m. it is 55 minutes.
I bet it's over an hour. I bet it's 65 minutes.
It's 70 minutes.
You have to do Genie.
You do, because you're starting your day with over an hour wait. What about right now? How long do you think the wait for Frozen is in Epcot? Everybody's kiddo's favorite ride at Epcot
is 90 minutes.
I bet 75 minutes.
You're both a little over. It's 60 minutes. An hour wait is not the way I want to start my day.
Absolutely
not.
What about Flight of Passage? How long do you think Flight of Passage is?
135 minutes.
I bet it's 2 hours. I bet it's 120 minutes.
Everybody's close. It's 105 minutes. So you can either stand in line for 105 minutes or you can purchase that individual Lightning Lane. This is why it's so necessary. These wait times are not abnormal. This is not, as we sit here recording, a super busy time of year or a super busy day of the year. And here early in the morning, we're over an hour for some of these top attractions. Are you ready, ladies, for the Lightning Lane?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
All right. Becki, what's your first choice attraction for Lightning Lane at Epcot?
Ooh, probably Frozen.
What is your first pick at Animal Kingdom, Karla?
Safari.
What are you grabbing first at Epcot? Virtual queue or individual Lightning Lane?
Virtual queue, obviously.
Which park would you never use Genie Plus in?
Animal Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom.
Me too. Which is your first pick attraction at Hollywood Studios?
Ooh, Mickey and Minnie's.
Ooh, that's so hard. I'm going to buy Rise of the Resistance.
I agree. I'm going to buy that first, and then I'm going to grab Slinky. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I'm grabbing Slinky. I think I'm going to buy Rise.
Yeah, you're right. I'm grabbing Slinky too. And it's such a mistake if you don't grab it because it's not going to be there.
Yeah, it's like almost faster than the virtual queue in most cases. Becki, what is your first plan of action to grab at Magic Kingdom?
Ooh, it has to either be Space Mountain or Peter Pan, but Peter Pan.
I don't know. People are going wild for Jungle Cruise these days. I don't understand the hype, but if you don't get Jungle Cruise first thing.
Maybe I should go with Tomorrowland Speedway as my first one.
Oh.
That's fine because I'm grabbing People Mover.
And I'm grabbing Carousel of Progress.
You guys, we're going to dominate Tomorrowland with our Genie Plus collection.
And we're going to be done with it all in 35 minutes because there are never lines for those rides.
It is true, though. People love at Magic Kingdom, they love Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Peter Pan's Flight. Those are 3 top Genie Plus attractions. All right, everyone, that is going to do it for Genie Plus, Lightning Lane, individual Lightning Lane, virtual queues. As a reminder, Disneyland does, of course, offer a Genie Plus service of its own. Your Smart Moms travel agent can help unravel all of the differences between Disney World and Disneyland as it pertains to all things, but especially Genie Plus. Today's episode was, of course, centered on using the service at Walt Disney World.
Thanks so much for listening once again to the Smart Moms Plan Disney podcast. If you are planning, looking at planning, or ready to start planning again, be sure to reach out to your Smart Moms travel agent. If you don't already have one, make sure you hit us up in the link in our bio or in the show notes to get connected with one of our hosts. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts so you're the first to know when a new episode drops, and hit us up on social media. Until next time, we'll see you real soon.